Mark Ruffalo was the kind of actor Hollywood loved. He wasn't flashy, but his grounded performances made him a fan favorite. When he joined Marvel as Bruce Banner in The Avengers, he became a household name. For nearly a decade, Ruffalo was the face of the Hulk, appearing in blockbuster after blockbuster.
And I was live broadcasting.
But outside of Marvel, Ruffalo was just as loud off-screen as he was quiet on-screen. He spoke out on everything. Capitalism, climate change, Israel, fossil fuels, billionaires. By the mid-2010s, his activism was drawing as much attention as his acting. In 2021, during the Israel-Gaza conflict, he tweeted that Israel was committing genocide. The backlash was immediate. Within days, he issued an apology, saying the post was inflammatory and not accurate. To critics, it looked like he was caving under studio pressure. To supporters, it looked like he was backtracking. Either way, it hurt his credibility. Marvel quietly scaled back his role, and outside of the franchise, his projects were mostly small streaming dramas with little impact. Ruffalo still speaks out daily on social media, but to many fans, he's become more activist than actor.
And so for every horrible thing that you have to go through in life, you get an equal gift in return. And the gift of this time is that we get to see who the true villains are.
And Hollywood, always sensitive to public controversy, hasn't handed him another leading role since. Shia LaBeouf was supposed to be the next big thing. After breaking out in Disney's Even Stevens, he became the face of Michael Bay's Transformers franchise, which grossed billions worldwide. By his mid-20s, he was a proven leading man with the kind of fame most actors dream of. But instead of building on that foundation, LaBeouf threw himself into political performance art.
The live stream just allows us to hit a bigger audience. Just seems like fair.
In 2017, just days after Donald Trump's inauguration, he launched a live stream installation called He Will Not Divide Us.
He will not divide us. He will not divide us.
The project invited people to chant the phrase into a camera 24/7. Within weeks, it collapsed into chaos, fights, arrests, and trolls hijacking the feed. Shia himself was arrested on camera after shoving a man. That was only the beginning. He followed with strange stunts, like locking himself in a cabin to binge-watch his own films. Add plagiarism scandals and volatile interviews, and his reputation spiraled. The final blow came in 2020, when singer FKA Twigs filed a lawsuit accusing him of abuse. Overnight, Netflix dropped him from its Oscar campaign, and his agency cut ties. Today, Shia still works, but only in fringe art house projects.
I come from an art form that takes 50 men to make, 50 women, 50 people to make.
For a man once called the next DiCaprio, Hollywood has closed its doors. For a decade, Chris Evans was Hollywood's patriotic golden boy. Captain America anchored the MCU and earned global respect as both an action lead and clean-cut hero. Then he hung up the shield and picked up a megaphone. In 2020, Evans launched A Starting Point, a civic engagement platform, but his political edge sharpened fast. While promoting Pixar's Lightyear in 2022, Evans responded to criticism over a same-sex kiss by saying, "Those people are idiots. They're going to die off like dinosaurs." The comment went viral for all the wrong reasons. Lightyear was banned in 14 countries and grossed just $226 million against a $200 million budget. Disney reportedly took a $100 million loss. One of Pixar's worst failures ever. Evans doubled down, calling critics frustrating and backward. His follow-up films, The Gray Man and Ghosted, struggled with audiences. He still works, but the days of him leading a billion-dollar franchise are gone. To many fans, he stopped being Captain America and became just another political voice. For a while, Seth Rogen was the king of comedy. Movies like Superbad, Pineapple Express, and This Is the End made him a box office magnet. His brand of stoner humor and self-deprecating charm worked, until it didn't. As audiences moved on, Rogen leaned harder into politics. He took shots at conservatives online, mocked middle America, and famously told people who didn't share his worldview to stop watching his stuff. The problem? Many actually did. His 2021 animated series, Santa Inc., was billed as edgy satire, but it was slammed as joyless and mean-spirited, earning one of the worst Rotten Tomatoes scores in HBO Max history. His film, An American Pickle, quietly disappeared, and even his voice roles haven't carried the same weight. Here's the thing about comedy. It's supposed to bring people together through shared laughter. The moment you start lecturing your audience, the joke stops being funny, and so does your career. Ben Affleck seemed unstoppable in the 2010s. Oscar winner for Argo, blockbuster star, respected director. Then he put on the Batman suit and everything went sideways. But it wasn't just Batman vs. Superman's poor reception that derailed him. Affleck used his platform to constantly critique Hollywood, American politics, and social issues. Every press appearance became a sociology lecture rather than movie promotion. His personal scandals didn't help, but the political preaching made it worse. Affleck regularly attacked the very system that made him successful, calling out studios, audiences, and American culture with increasing frequency. Justice League bombed, his solo Batman film was canceled, Warner Brothers quietly pushed him out of the DC universe, his directing projects post-Argo have been critical and commercial disappointments. Today, Affleck's career feels more defined by headlines about his marriage to Jennifer Lopez than any acting achievement. He's still working, but he no longer commands the same respect or draw.
Their wildest dream, come true. And for me, it had become like something different.
Affleck's trajectory shows how easily Hollywood stardom can get overshadowed once personal and political noise takes over. Jussie Smollett went from rising star to industry punchline almost overnight. As part of Empire, he was on one of TV's biggest shows, building momentum as both an actor and a musician. But in 2019, everything collapsed when he staged a fake hate crime against himself, claiming he was attacked in Chicago. Smollett reported being attacked by two men in ski masks who shouted, "This is MAGA country," poured bleach on him, and put a noose around his neck. Politicians, celebrities, and media outlets rallied behind him, but the story unraveled fast. Surveillance footage, phone records, and inconsistencies led investigators to two Nigerian brothers who testified that Smollett paid them $3,500 to stage the attack. By February 2019, he was charged with filing false police reports. In December 2021, he was found guilty on 5 felony counts and sentenced to 150 days in jail.
I am not suicidal, and I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty alone.
Fox cut him from Empire's final season. No studio has hired him since. Once framed as a symbol of progress, Smollett's name became shorthand for the worst kind of performance, the one nobody believes. The most tragic part? His actual acting was solid. He had real talent and a platform to create positive change. Instead, he chose to lie and destroy everything he'd built. John Cusack was once the king of offbeat romantic comedies and cult classics. From Say Anything to High Fidelity, he built a reputation as the everyman outsider. But in recent years, Cusack has drifted far from Hollywood's spotlight. Not because he lost his acting chops, but because his outspoken political rants alienated both studios and fans. Cusack has been extremely active on social media with attacks on Trump and other conspiracy theories. Instead of being remembered for his iconic roles, his name started trending more for Twitter fights than film projects. That shift made him seem less like a bankable star and more like a liability. Without big studios backing him, Cusack has largely disappeared from mainstream cinema. In short, he talked himself right out of Hollywood's good graces.
Robbins a lot, and he had an acting company in LA that did a lot of cool radical theater called the Actors Gang, and I've worked with them.
Alec Baldwin had one of the most stable careers in Hollywood. He reinvented himself on 30 Rock, became a fan favorite on Saturday Night Live for his Trump impersonation, and was widely respected as a veteran actor. But in recent years, his career has been overshadowed by scandal, controversy, and politics. Baldwin leaned heavily into political satire, which divided audiences. For some, he became a symbol of woke Hollywood, more focused on activism and political mockery than actual acting.
He's an incredible person with impeccable credentials, Mr. Vladimir Putin.
But the biggest blow came with the Rust tragedy, where a firearm he was handling discharged on set, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Even though the case is still unfolding legally, the incident permanently changed how people view him. Instead of being remembered as a charismatic leading man, Baldwin's name is now tied to controversy and caution. Studios are hesitant, audiences are divided, and his legacy has been clouded by choices that pushed him further from the screen than he ever intended. Now, Hollywood doesn't just reward talent. It rewards marketability, timing, and how well you play the PR game. When actors make their politics the headline, when controversy overshadows the craft, or when they simply stop adapting, audiences move on. None of these actors lack talent. What they lack is the ability, or willingness, to separate their careers from everything else swirling around them. And in Hollywood, that's often the difference between being a timeless star or a cautionary tale. Want to see more career collapses explained? Hit subscribe and let me know in the comments which Hollywood meltdown you want analyzed next. Trust me, we're just getting started.
It's like, don't mess with me, dog. I'm crazy, you know what I'm saying? And the guy's like, what are you in here for? I'm like, cabaret.
For
From Robert De Niro turning into Hollywood's cranky grandpa.
Name things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron.
To Chris Evans discovering life after Captain America is just one long lecture tour.
Hi, I'm Chris Evans, and this is my puppy interview. Where are these puppies?
Here's every woke male actor career flop explained. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is a cinematic legend, but in recent years, he's been defined more by late-night political rants than memorable performances.
Hoffman, are you talking to me?
You tricked me!
Once the face of Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, he now drifts into forgettable comedies or dreary dramas that nobody bothers to watch. His presence, once electric, feels like a relic. Critics pretend he elevates projects, but audiences see a tired star wagging his finger instead of commanding the screen. Fans who wanted iconic roles got scolding speeches, and the result has been a steady erosion of his Hollywood legacy. Instead of aging gracefully, De Niro has become the cranky grandpa of the industry, cashing checks in films that disappear instantly.
Then we're going to narrow it down further from these two. This was your first debut, right?
That's
the big one.
Yeah.
So let's just say Taxi Driver, okay?
Even his rare good performances are overshadowed by off-screen tirades, where his name trends more for angry sound bites than artistry. De Niro's reputation now rests more on politics than characters, proving even icons can outlive their relevance.
Thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best.
What once felt untouchable now feels like a lecture hall with bad lighting, and audiences simply don't show up anymore. Chris Evans. Chris Evans had it all: Marvel superstardom, charisma, and global fame. But after retiring Captain America's shield, he stepped off the battlefield and onto Twitter, where he reinvented himself as Hollywood's moral overseer. Instead of building new franchises, Evans starred in projects nobody remembers, like thrillers that fizzled and rom-coms that landed with a thud. Lightyear was supposed to be his next big launch, but it was overshadowed by controversy and quickly forgotten. Audiences expected another bold leading role, but what they got instead was a string of safe, forgettable performances that blended into Hollywood's endless background noise. Fans who once adored him now roll their eyes when he surfaces with another sanctimonious message instead of a blockbuster. Evans didn't just leave Marvel, he left behind momentum, proving
Kimberly took a picture of me while I was sleeping. Not of you, of us. I know you were a creep.
that a superhero costume can't protect a star from irrelevance once the audience feels lectured instead of entertained. His problem isn't that he lacks talent, is that every role since Marvel feels hollow, while every headline is about his opinions. Evans became the perfect example of how fast Hollywood's golden boy can fade. Evans turned Captain America's shield into a podium, and audiences decided they were done listening to sermons disguised as movies.
Everyone has kids and, you know...
Everyone except
this guy.
Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo made the Hulk lovable, but once the green faded, he leaned harder into activism than acting. Every interview became a campaign speech, every project a lecture thinly disguised as entertainment. His post-Marvel outing struggled. Self-important dramas nobody streamed, and documentaries cheered by critics but ignored by audiences. Fans who admired his sensitive take on Bruce Banner got tired of his constant moralizing. Online chatter now paints him as a scold rather than a star, with charisma swallowed by endless commentary. Ruffalo hasn't vanished, but he's stalled. Hollywood keeps him around for ensemble credibility, but won't build a movie around him. The Hulk was once unstoppable, but Ruffalo's post-franchise career shows that even superheroes can't smash through audience fatigue when messaging overwhelms the magic. He's proof that playing a beloved character can only carry you so far when audiences associate your name with soapbox speeches instead of standout roles. Ruffalo stopped being the actor you root for and became the one you tolerate. His career arc proves even a giant green rage monster is more appealing than Ruffalo's constant lectures on humanity. John Boyega. John Boyega's Star Wars debut as Finn should have launched him into stardom. Instead, it cemented him as one of the loudest voices in Hollywood's culture wars.
Is John Boyega Nigerian? What kind of question is that? Cannot see the back of my head, the shape of my head.
Boyega openly trashed how Disney handled his character, winning applause from some but alienating others. When the saga ended, so did the big offers. His attempts at leading roles outside the galaxy fizzled, and prestige TV work failed to ignite. Even when he did land solid roles, the projects themselves felt more like side notes than genuine star vehicles, leaving audiences underwhelmed and disconnected. Interviews focused more on his grievances than his craft, turning him into a symbol of industry complaints rather than a bankable star. Fans who once rooted for Finn now mostly remember Boyega for sparring with the franchise that made him famous. His story is a cautionary tale. Being vocal may win headlines, but it rarely secures lasting roles. Today, his career feels stalled, with his biggest legacy tied not to a character or performance, but to constant reminders of how unhappy he was playing it.
Me knowing that, I'm like, cool. Will you play the character again? At this point, I'm cool off it. I'm good off it.
Boyega went from potential megastar to professional grievance. Boyega became the rare star defined more by complaints than by characters, and audiences drifted away with each interview. Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher was set to break out as Cyborg in the DC universe, but instead his career became defined by a feud. After clashing with Warner Brothers over Justice League reshoots, Fisher made headlines, but studios grew wary. Sympathy online didn't translate into momentum, and his acting resume stalled. Instead of being remembered for superhero potential, he became a case study in how controversy can overshadow talent. Fisher's name is still tied more to hashtags than performances, a sharp fall from what could have been a cornerstone franchise role. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but for Fisher, the narrative shifted from rising star to career caution. Cyborg was supposed to be the launchpad.
You are not a monster. It's weird that you thought I meant me.
Instead, it became the dead end, proving that without consistent work, activism alone doesn't keep an actor's career alive. Fisher's biggest performance wasn't on screen, it was in interviews, and audiences didn't buy a ticket for that. Audiences forgot Cyborg faster than Warner Bros. Did, leaving Fisher trapped in a feud that swallowed his career whole.
Yeah, I think they got me. What do you think?
It was sinister. Wow.
Billy Eichner. Billy Eichner made his name yelling at strangers, but Hollywood discovered that shtick doesn't translate to the big screen.
Seems like a good guy. I've never been that thrilled by his acting, but seems like a well-intentioned person.
Great ass. It was great in Troy.
You're disgusting.
His rom-com Bros was marketed as groundbreaking, but Eichner's pre-release lectures put audiences off. When the film tanked, he blamed moviegoers instead of the material, coming across as bitter rather than funny. Instead of Trailblazer, he became a punchline, proof that finger-wagging doesn't sell tickets. His brash persona works in short bursts, but stretched over a feature film, it grated. Eichner's shot at leading man status evaporated, and now his career is more remembered for the flop than the laughter. He wanted to be Hollywood's next icon. Instead, he became a cautionary tale of overhyped representation, sinking under the weight of self-importance. Bros was supposed to make him the face of progress. Instead, it made him the face of how audiences reject being guilt-tripped at the box office. His brand of loud finally went silent. Even comedy fans admitted the only funny thing about Eichner's big break was how quickly it collapsed.
Oh, they're fighting? You like that? Hey. I can be tough like your boys. Oh, that's what you like, huh?
What's going on?
Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf was once Hollywood's rebel golden boy with blockbusters and indie acclaim. But scandals, lawsuits, and bizarre stunts derailed everything. Projects meant to showcase his artistry, like Honey Boy,
for the popular song Elastic Heart, caught plenty of criticism due to his dancing with a 12-year-old in the video, which brought up accusations and disgust,
were drowned out by tabloid chaos and allegations of abuse. Instead of cementing himself as a complex actor with range, LaBeouf doubled down on shock value antics that alienated fans and confused industry insiders alike. What should have been a second act as an indie auteur became a spectacle of self-destruction. His political rants and performance art drew ridicule, painting him as pretentious rather than profound.
Things like this is why porn is interesting to me. Porn is interesting to me because they actually
Studios backed away and audiences stopped rooting for him. LaBeouf went from promising star to Hollywood pariah, a living reminder that talent doesn't excuse chaos. His downfall shows that being reckless and being woke both alienated the very audience that once made him bankable. Even his rare flashes of brilliance are overshadowed by personal implosions, leaving fans convinced that his career isn't just stalled, it's permanently derailed. LaBeouf didn't burn out gracefully, he torched his reputation, and Hollywood walked away. LaBeouf's trajectory is Hollywood's ultimate warning. Waste goodwill, and even blockbusters can't save you from obscurity. Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet was hailed as the actor of his generation, but hype quickly outran substance. From Call Me By Your Name to endless fashion campaigns, Hollywood pushed him as the cultural voice of youth. Yet many of his projects, like The King and Bones and all, felt more like art house lectures than compelling films. His performances often leaned heavily on mood and aesthetic, but rarely gave audiences the sense of depth or weight they expected from a supposed generational talent. Even Dune, despite its success, sparked debate about whether he had the charisma to carry such a massive franchise. Online, he became less star and more meme, mocked as Hollywood's attempt to manufacture relevance. Chalamet hasn't vanished, but the gap between his press and his performances is glaring. He's no longer the future of acting, just another influencer-type star whose career is defined more by image than impact. Hollywood keeps telling us he's a phenomenon, but audiences quietly wonder if he's just another pretty face the industry insists we should care about. The hype machine keeps running, but audiences are already looking for someone new to believe in.
From Jared Leto's chaotic Joker to Chris Hemsworth's woke Thor, here's every woke male actor who ruined a franchise. From star power to failure, let's break it down. Jared Leto. Jared Leto's career seemed poised for greatness when he stepped into the role of the Joker in Suicide Squad. But instead of a chilling portrayal of Batman's arch-nemesis, Leto's Joker was more bizarre than menacing. His portrayal of the character was nothing short of a disaster, distracting from the already flawed film. Leto's performance didn't land. It became a meme. Rather than a menacing villain, his Joker felt like a self-indulgent art project gone wrong. The franchise suffered as a result, and instead of breathing life into the DC extended universe, Leto's Joker nearly suffocated it. Even with the Joker cut and attempts to salvage the character in subsequent projects, the damage had been done. His insistence on improvising with the character turned every scene into a chaotic mess.
And that was just the beginning.
Further detracting from what could have been a solid portrayal of one of DC's most infamous villains. Leto didn't just ruin his career, he ruined the future of a beloved character for millions.
I don't find him too intimidating. I think he's rather, friendly.
Chris Hemsworth.
Thor, son of Odin.
Chris Hemsworth's portrayal of Thor made him one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but his post-Avengers career has faced a major wake-up call.
Get help. What? Get help. No, come on, you love it. I hate it. It's great. It works every time.
Instead of continuing to shine in roles that capitalized on his charisma and physicality, Hemsworth veered into a woke agenda. His performance in Thor: Love and Thunder was criticized for leaning too heavily into forced feminist messages, which left fans alienated. The jokes were overdone, and the character felt watered down. Hemsworth's attempts to expand into roles like Extraction weren't much better, with critics calling them more about action than any real character depth.
It's lucky you're beautiful because there's nothing up here.
Rather than sticking to the persona that made him a star, Hemsworth shifted focus to promoting woke themes, which took away from his natural strengths as an action star. What should have been a booming career has slowly turned into a series of misfires, with his brand struggling to maintain momentum. Instead of flexing his heroic chops, Hemsworth's career now feels more like a punchline as he tries to juggle action and activism without a clear balance. Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise has been the face of blockbuster franchises like Mission Impossible, but recent attempts to recapture the magic have led to mixed results. While he's still beloved as Ethan Hunt, Cruise's overexposure in the press and his off-screen antics started to overshadow the iconic spy franchise. His controversial Scientology beliefs and behavior alienated much of the audience who once viewed him as a charming, charismatic action hero. While Top Gun: Maverick did offer a brief return to form.
Listen,
here's the thing, Peter. Yeah. You're stepping over a line now. You're stepping over a line. You know you are.
His previous stumbles, such as in the Mummy reboot, revealed the pitfalls of riding on the coattails of his previous success. Cruise is now less about action and more about self-promotion, trying to push his brand over content. As he grew older, Cruise's insistence on doing his own stunts and making high-profile public appearances became more about marketing his brand rather than advancing the Mission Impossible narrative. His legacy is at risk, as audiences no longer view him as the end-all be-all of Hollywood leading men. Instead, he's seen as a relic holding on to his fading star power. Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's tenure in Batman v Superman was met with mixed reactions, and his role in the DCEU became one of the franchise's weakest points. While Affleck's performance as Bruce Wayne wasn't entirely terrible, it felt disconnected from the legacy of previous Batman portrayals. His brooding and jaded Batman clashed with the lighter tone that fans had come to expect from the character. His commitment to the role was questionable, and his on-set frustrations and eventual departure from the DCEU highlighted just how miscast he was in the part. The films surrounding his Batman only amplified these issues, with Justice League and Batman v Superman being critically derided and commercially lackluster. Affleck's struggle to get his Batman arc right left fans wondering if he was ever the right fit for the role, and the critical backlash only made it worse. Affleck's tenure marked a rocky period for the DCEU, as fans quickly realized that his interpretation of Batman did not connect with the larger franchise vision.
Time! I understand.
His legacy as Batman is now mostly remembered for its failure rather than its promise. Will Smith. Will Smith's career skyrocketed in the 90s and 2000s, with iconic franchises like Men in Black and Bad Boys under his belt. But everything changed after the infamous Oscar slap.
Oh, wow! Wow!
His assault on Chris Rock turned the spotlight from his films to his off-screen drama, ultimately destroying the trust audiences had in him as a leading man. Once known for his charisma and family-friendly roles, Smith's shift to activism and public feuds overshadowed his acting career. Instead of being remembered as one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, he became a symbol of how a few poor decisions can ruin an otherwise flawless career. The slap also threw a dark cloud over his involvement in franchise revivals, like Bad Boys for Life, which felt less like a revival and more like an attempt to salvage his credibility. Audiences who once lined up for every Smith film now question his credibility, and franchise revivals like Bad Boys for Life felt forced and stale.
A few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa once became a household name as Aquaman in the DC Extended Universe, but his role in the franchise quickly became a joke rather than a blockbuster draw.
Well, you know what the God says, if he gives you a flat ass, he's gonna give you a big old
His brooding, rugged performance initially captured fans, but his overexposure in multiple projects, including Aquaman 2 and Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, made him less of a cultural phenomenon and more of a comedic side act.
Action! And bite!
His charm quickly wore off, and audiences grew tired of his loud, brash persona. Instead of becoming the next big thing in action cinema, he turned into a parody of himself. Instead of breathing new life into DC's universe, he added to its messy, bloated reputation. Fans were no longer eager for his appearances, and the Aquaman sequel proved to be more of a commercial failure than anticipated. Rather than evolving into the next great action star, Momoa became a Hollywood casualty of overhype and miscasting. Momoa's attempt to remain the quintessential action hero crumbled, leaving him to reflect on a franchise that could have been much more. Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was supposed to be the Superman of a new era, a powerful, grounded version of the iconic hero. But his tenure as the Man of Steel was marred by messy storytelling choices and direction. Despite his solid performance, Cavill's Superman didn't stand a chance against the train wreck that was the DCEU. The films failed to resonate with fans, with Batman v Superman and Justice League being slammed for their incoherent plots and underdeveloped characters. Instead of the beloved superhero fans had hoped for, Cavill's Superman became a punchline to a larger franchise misfire.
I mean, you have to, well, you're Superman. You have to be in awesome shape.
His departure from the role was inevitable when Zack Snyder's vision failed, and his time in the cape is remembered as a failure of both management and missed opportunities. Cavill's exit from the DCEU highlighted just how mismanaged the franchise was, and how it could have been saved by strong leadership and clear direction. Cavill never truly got to make Superman his own.
Dude's big dick energy. And to make it even better, I'm 99% sure he's actually big.
And now fans wonder if the DCU's reboot can finally do justice to the iconic hero. Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is a powerhouse actor who should have had a slam dunk with Venom, but instead, he delivered a clunky, tone-deaf performance that left audiences scratching their heads.
To talk to media about their sexuality.
What on earth are you on about?
While Hardy's portrayal of Eddie Brock had its moments, the film struggled with tonal inconsistencies, and the character of Venom himself felt more like a joke than a menacing anti-hero. The sequel, Let There Be Carnage, was met with similar criticisms, with critics and audiences alike pointing out the bizarre mix of humor, chaos, and forced woke messaging that cheapened the overall story.
I don't find it difficult for celebrities to talk about their sexuality. Are you asking me about my sexuality?
Hardy, known for his intensity in roles like Mad Max Fury Road, seemed miscast in a film that should have been a darker, grittier affair. Instead of elevating the Venom franchise, Hardy's portrayal has kept it stumbling, with fans unsure whether they should laugh or cringe. His once promising superhero franchise has now lost its footing, thanks to a failed attempt to ride the woke wave.